Hello friends, this is Dr. Amarjit Kaur, Professor of Accounting and Business Communication at the Department of Management, Gurugram University, Gurugram. Today we are going to talk about time value of money. This is the most important concept in financial management. In fact, the whole financial management is primarily based on time value money, risk and return as a fundamental concept. Without these 2-3 more important concepts, financial management tools cannot be applied, and we cannot actually have the application of financial management into business life. So friends, time value of money, as the name suggests. So understanding past and present value of money is very, very important. Why? If you remember in the initial lecture when we started the series of financial management, we spoke about that there are 3 primarily decisions in business which business takes. All the decisions in financial management or finance are actually categorized into 3 parts. Number 1 is investment decision, number 2 is financing decision, and number 3 is dividend decision. So primarily all the functions which we perform, they would fall in either of the 3 decisions I am taking. Just for example, the investment decision is about investing into long term or short term assets. If I say long term, then plant, machinery, furniture, fixtures, etc., etc. And short term assets means working capital, cash, bank balance, debtors, etc. Right? So a business has to decide how much to keep in long term and how much to keep in the short term. Same way for financing, business has to decide which source of funds to be used for funding the business requirement. It could be debt, be it bonds, be it overdraft, which is a entirely different category of loan or debt, or be it equity. What kind of funding should I be using for my business? Why? Because each type of funding has its own pros and cons. It has own cost of funding. The cost of funding of equity, or through equity is less or more in certain cases. So debentures is always considered to be a cheaper source of finance because of the tax benefit on the interest we pay. So couple of things like that. So there are so many more instruments which are available for funding the business operation. So we have to decide. But just imagine if I have to buy a machine today, right? And if I buy on credit, I have to pay it in future, maybe 5 years time, 20 years time, 10 years time, depending on the cost of the machinery. Same way, if I get loan from any bank, or I get loan in the form of debentures, I need to pay back the principal and interest both. So in both the example, certain part of cash inflow or outflow is happening today. Today means at 0 level of time, right? And certain part of cash inflow or cash outflow for these 2 examples is happening in future. For example, debentures, I am going to pay in future the principal money as well as the interest on biannual basis or annual basis. So that will be my cash outflow, but in future. But whereas I am getting the complete sale proceed of the debentures today primarily. Though in equity my sale proceed may be on different dates, right? It may be extended in 1 year, 2 years time. Same way, if I am buying machinery on credit, I am going to get the machine today, but my benefits are in future, right? And I have to take a decision either to invest in X machine or Y machine, X project or Y project. And both the project has in different time period, life or duration, and both the projects have different time of gestation period, like in terms of that how much time would I take to recover my investment. Not only that, the internal rate of return for both the projects could be different. So it's very interesting that I have to take a call today for something which primarily is going to be happening in future. So these examples are to help you understand that business decisions involve 2 type of cash inflow. one which is happening today and another which is happening in future. Now, when I say cash flow, it includes both inflow as well as outflow. Means my inflow could be happening today, my outflow could be happening today, or inflow could be happening in future, outflow could be happening in future, because our decisions are either to save the cost or to increase revenue. So, under these compelling situation, how would we be able to decide? Because cash inflow happening today and in future are not comparable, right? Because the time is different. 5 years down the line, 3 years down the line, we may not be able to buy the same amount of any product or service with the same amount of money we can get today, right? That is where the time value money comes into force, because understanding the present and future value is necessary for effective financial decision making. Most of the decisions they require that how much should I borrow, how much should I pay today, what kind of plan should I take for my borrowings, what kind of plan should I accept as term and condition in my trade finance, and what not, right? So, the major premise is this, that the cash flows occur at a different time period, and to cope up with this limitation or this particular peculiar situation, the cash flows happening at different time periods, we need to bring them at comparable level, right? So, if my inflow is happening in future, I need to discount it today to compare it with what I am paying today, right? So to bring the comparability factor into the cash flows, we use time value money concept. So, what is time value money concept? Time value money means the value of a unit of money is different in different time periods. So, value of unit of money, when I say, it means I may take unit as $100 or 100 rupees or 100 taka, does not matter. I am not concerned about the currency or the denomination. I am here concerned about the unit of money, and unit of money could be anything. It could be 1 rupee or $1. It could be 100 rupee or $100. So, the point I am making is this: the value of money is not same at different time periods. So, a rupee or a dollar received today is worth more than a dollar received year from now, 2 years from now, right? So, that is why we have to be careful about our decisions. If we do not incorporate time value money, if we do not consider bringing inflows and outflow at a comparable level, our decisions would be wrong, right? So, that is why time value money concept is very, very important. So, there are two techniques which we use in time value money. Number one is compounding, another is discounting. In today's session, we are going to discuss only the compounding. In future, we will be discussing about discounting separately. So, compounding, as you may have heard it very many times, is a very well known term in the market or otherwise in lives. So, to understand compounding and discounting for that matter, let us have a look at this timeline, right? So, either compound or present value can be calculated irrespective of that. If we, a timeline is a straight line here in on the slide. So, if I know future value and I want to know the present value of that money which I will be getting or paying in future, if I want to know the present value of that money, it would be known as discounting. I want to know present value. So, coming from future to present is discounting, but I know present value. For example, I have 1000 rupees in hand, and if I put it in bank today, how much will it give me after 5 years if I deposit the money at 7%, which is a FD rate today. So, I know present value, I have 1000 rupees in hand. What would be future value? And future is what? 5 years down the line, right? So, these are the two situations. So, present and future value, they are actually presenting the same situation, right? If we know one, we can know the other, right? Knowing that how many periods, how much is the time period in discounting or compounding. But important is to understand that if I know what is there in my hand today, and I want to know what would be the money be after 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from the now, same money, that is that going from present value to future value. And other way around, let's say you want to marry after 4 years, and you know that you will be spending 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, etc., etc., right? So that is your requirement. So you want to accumulate, let's say 20 lakhs for your marriage 4 years from now. So you know what? You know the future value in this example, and you need to know what the present value, that how much money should I put today in the bank to convert that money equivalent to 20 lakhs requirement for my marriage, right? So that is what, that is actually knowing the present value from the future to present. So that would be discounting. But if I put it other way around, that I have 10 lakhs rupees in hand, I want to put it in bank for 5 years, because after 5 years I want to get married, how much money would I have 5 years from now if the bank pays 5%, 6%, 7% interest, right? So now I know my present value and I want to know the future value in the second example. That would be compounding. So we are going to focus on compounding. So before understanding compounding, let's know the principle behind it, which we call it as the mathematics of interest. So how does compounding work? This is what is known as the mathematics of interest. So interest that is paid in the second year on the interest earned in the previous year or the first year is known as compound interest. Same way, likewise, if the interest which is paid on the interest on second year, which is paid in the third year, on the interest which is earned in the second year, this is also compounding. Likewise, the interest earned on in the fourth year on the interest earned until third year. So this is interest on interest. Most of you would have used this term in basic mathematics in your initial school days only, right? We all know compounding. It's not a rocket science. But this mathematics of interest is very interesting. Have a look at the example. So if I have beginning amount of 1000 rupees in hand, right, and if rate of interest is 5%, how much would interest would be earned? It would be 50 rupees on 1000, right? Then the beginning principal here is 1000 rupees, ending principal would be 1050, because I earned 50 rupees as. So in the second year, the beginning amount would be 1050 and I will earn 5% interest on that. So my interest would be now this time 52.5. So previous year rate of interest was 5% in both the example, right? First year I earned 50 rupees. In second year I am earning 52.5. So this increase of 2.5 rupees, or it could be lakhs, it could be crores, that increase from previous year to this year, because I earned 2.5 on 50 as well. So because 5% on 1000 would have been 50 only, but nevertheless I have earned in the previous year 50 rupees interest. So on that 50 rupees I am earning another 5%, which is 2.50 dollars, rupees, crores or lakhs. So that is the compound interest. So my ending amount in this case would be 1002 rupees 50 paisa, right? So my interest on interest is my compound interest, and that's how. That is why generally people will say that you need to check that how many times of compounding is done on your deposit. So this is something people may not be knowing. You may have heard the term compounding, but did you ever notice that there are a couple of banks which are offering different times of compounding in a year? I don't want to name. There are public sector banks which compound twice a year, and there are private sector banks which compound only once a year. But the private banks boast that we are paying higher percentage of interest than the public sector bank, right? Now a layman will get confused and would be, oh wow, it will be and so the layman would be lured. layman would be would be happy to see that I am getting more interest in a private bank by, it could be by by any decimals or by any basil points, right. So layman would be happy that I am earning 0.5% more or a 1% more and 1.5% more than a public sector bank. But the fact of the matter is that public sector bank could be offering you twice of compounding twice a year, and that makes a difference. So the number of time of compounding in a year also adds to the earning more interest. So if there's an investment option where compounding is done quarterly, means there are 4 times of compounding, 4 times a year. The compounding times becomes 4. In biannual it becomes twice. In annual it is once. So you have to, as an investor, you have to be very wise in assessing that how many times of compounding is done in that investment option. So this mathematical interest is very interesting. If you look at the example here, example goes like this. Assume a bank pays at 8% interest on a $100 deposit made today. How much will the $100 be worth in 1 year? So we are saying assume a bank pays 8% interest on $100 deposit today. So how much would it be? We all know, you will see it's 108. So let's look at the mathematics, how this goes into equation. I know you would have answered it that 8% of $100 is 8 rupees. So your ending money would be 108, fine. Because I took a very simple example, I may have taken 1 crore 30 lakhs 2000 etc etc, and then 6.5% interest, then it will not be easy. I consciously chose this example to help you understand how this mathematics works. So look at this equation. It says Fn. Fn stands for future value for a given n. N is number of years here, is equal to what? P into 1 plus r raised to power n. It could be 1 plus small I as well, right. So future value for a given n is present value into 1 plus r raised to power n. So it means here in our question, our year was 1. We want to know the future value of 100 rupees invested at 8% after 1 year, right. So n is replaced in the second row, the n is replaced by 1. So f for 1, like future value in 1 year, would be the principal $100 into 1 plus r. R is rate of interest. So 0.08 raised to power n. N is 1. So the future value in after 1 year would be 108. This is how the mathematics works, right. So this was an example to help you understand how this compounding works. Now the same example, what if the 108 was left in the bank for the second year? Means $100 are invested for 2 years. The same equation will be extended. So how much, if my question is how much would be the original $100 be worth at the end of the second year, then future value of n will be equal to present value p into 1 plus r raised to power n. So we can actually solve this equation and can get the answer by just multiply 100 into 1 plus 0.08 raised to power 2. So that is how the compound interest works. So this was the simple mathematics of compound interest. Now I want to talk about the practical application of time value money, that what are the possible situation in business where the application of TVM is made or undertaken. The first example is, if we want to know annual accumulation for replacement. What does it mean? What kind of situation is this? We have to accumulate money for many reasons. Let's say business is using one plant, one machinery, which has a limited life of 5 years, 10 years, or take an example of car. We all know in India, most of the states, Delhi especially, the petrol car has a life of 15 years. It could be in working condition, very much in working condition, in the beginning of the first day of 16th year, but I cannot utilize it for my business or my personal life, right? because there's a law for that. So it means I need to replace the car. If that car is being used in the business, I have to replace it for sure, right? If there's a requirement for transport, or it could be for trucks, it could be for any carrier for business, supplies. So in that case, we have to accumulate. It could be replacement of machinery, replacement of plant, replacement of building, in of course in long run, or a car, or any fleet of trucks, etc., etc. So business need to accumulate. So I need to have X amount 5 years down the line to replace my car, to replace my building. So how would I know that how much I need to put today in the bank, or every month in the bank, or every year in the bank? It all depends what kind of deposit I am going to make, or I have the possibility to make. So this is the application of time value money. Nevertheless, even to retire debentures, or to redeem debentures, or to redeem preferential capital which is redeemable, business need to accumulate money. So I have given you so many examples, be it replacement of asset, or be it replacement of or retiring of debentures or preferential capital. Business need to accumulate, right? So I need to know the future value. I know that this much I need to have down the line, 5 years after down the line, 10 years after down the line, and how much should I accumulate today, is one thing being answered by time value money. The second thing which time value money helps us in knowing is the size of annual payment to reimburse loans in equal installment. Debentures are, there are two possibilities, that debentures are redeemed only in the maturity year, that is final year or terminal year, or there is a possibility that we are redeeming debentures, bonds, or bank loans, etc., term loans, deposits, etc., etc., any kind of loan in annual payments. The principal money is paid annually, as well as the interest is paid annually. Of course, if we pay principal, if we start paying in principal money from the end of the first year itself, my second year principal money would be less, my interest would be on the remainder, and so on, right? Third year again my interest charge would be only at the remainder principal money. That is very simple thing to know. So, but nevertheless, even in that case, we would use time value money when we want to know the size of annual payment to reimburse loans in equal installments, or to reimburse debentures in equal installments, or to reimburse preferential capital in equal installments. This is the second application of time value money, TVM. The third situation is that what is the rate of growth? X, my shares were at X price and market price, and today they are at Y value. How much growth did we have on the share price? Same way for if anything which is traded in the market, we can know the rate of growth, right? Even there we use time value money. And lastly, to know the present value of debentures as well, that what would be that, debentures are to be paid in future. So if I get this much money which I have to pay in future, what is the actual present value of that money which would be paid in future? So I want to know the present value of money today. So there are so many different business situations where we actually apply time value of money. Okay, so this time value of money actually, as I said, has two aspects, two techniques. One is compounding, another is discounting. So we will be talking about compounding first, where we know the present value and we want to know the future value. So we will be taking exclusive situations of compounding for the next few minutes. So there are 5 different situations in compounding. Number 1, annual compounding of single sum. Number 2, more than once compounding of single sum. Number 3, compounding of uneven cash flows. Number 4, when we compound an annuity. And number 5, when we compound a perpetuity, right? So we will be just discussing in 1-2 minutes, and thereafter we will pursue the details in the future sessions. So, just when I say annual compounding of single sum means the investment is once only, right, and we are compounding it for any number. It could be like, let us say if I am depositing 5,000 today, 5 lakhs today in the bank, and I am keeping it for 5 years or 7 years. So, I will be n would be 5 or 7, so, but single I am depositing only once, right, and my compounding is done annually after 12 months, right, not quarterly or daily or weekly or biannually. The second situation is then when we are compounding more than once, but the sum we deposited is only single one. So, I deposited 5,000, same 5,000, but another bank, and here the bank is compounding twice a year, biannual. The same 5,000 deposited in the third bank, which is compounding quarterly, which means 4 times a year. So, this is the second situation. The third situation is when we are depositing uneven amount. So, people have recurring deposit accounts or flexi deposits where, like, basis on the money they have in hand, they can deposit any money every month. So, I can deposit 5,000 in a month in January, I can deposit 7,000 in February, I can deposit 10,000 in March, like that. So, that would be uneven cash flows, but we have to compound it, that how much would it be after few years. Then the fourth is compounding of annuity. Annuity means the equal amount being deposited every year, for a known period. So, amount is same, time interval is same, and the period is known, that is the annuity. The last fifth situation would be when we are compounding a perpetuity, means where the amount which we are depositing is not going to get back, the principal money is not going to come back, only interest is coming. So, how to compound that as well. So, these are the 5 situations which we will be discussing in detail very soon in future lecture. So, friends, thank you very much for being with me. I really appreciate your presence. Thank you very much.